Good afternoon, everyone. Lovely to see people coming through our virtual door. We've got people still arriving, but before everyone, or as everyone gets here, I'd just like to say welcome to our Maximise Your Membership session this afternoon. This session is all about giving you information about the FSB benefits, what you get from joining. If you're already a member, then that's fantastic. It's to remind you of perhaps some of the benefits you've not been using. And if you're not a member, then it's to tell you just what we can do for you and what we do for all of small businesses. My name is Vanessa Gale. Everybody calls me Ness, so I will introduce myself as Ness. And we've got a lovely panel for you today of experts who are going to guide you through exactly what FSB is all about. So I'll just tell you that we have on our panel today, we have Anne Scott, who is one of our development managers. We've got Katie Fremantle, who's the Managing Director of FSB Insurance Services. Rajan Naran is an area regional sales manager. We've got James Cordiner, and he is from FSB. Sorry, he is not. He's from Tax Investigations at Markel. And we've got one of our members, David Barnes, who runs his own business. And more than that, he's an FSB member and an FSB supporter. So he's very important. He's going to be able to tell us from a member's perspective just exactly what's available. So, okay, a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, there's no chat box today, you will notice. That's because it's quite tight on timings and we've got a lot to get through. However, we do encourage you to leave your questions, please, as many questions as you want to ask, but if you can add them into the Q&A section, then at the end, we'll leave about a quarter of an hour to go through any of your questions. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our first panelist today, who is Rajan, and he's going to tell us a little bit about some of our benefits.
Thank you very much, Ness, and welcome everybody. As Ness mentioned, my name is Rajan Naran. I'm the Regional Sales Manager for the London and the Southwest of England. My role is really to look after the membership advisors who are all self-employed, to tell members such as yourselves of all the benefits that we have. Now, we've got some really good panelists involved, so I just thought I'd put a couple extras in there. One of them is the newest member or the newest partnership we have, which is with a very, very famous name, NatWest. Till by NatWest is our new service provider for card machines or any kind of merchant services, preferential rates, and they actually do an advisory service for us. So if any of you out there are using any card services, have a look. You can get that referral put in via your legal hub, or you can actually speak to your membership advisor, but they could actually save you money. We did have a conversation yesterday about a dog grooming company that managed to save £6,000 a year, £500 every single month, just because they were using a very old terminal, and the benefits were far outweighed with what Till was offering. The other two that I just wanted to really highlight very quickly, if you weren't aware, we do have a new bank account that we work with, which is Zempler. Zempler actually give you cash back. They're also an online bank as opposed to a bricks and mortar. So the benefit for you, if you're a new startup, you're actually able to get a bank account and a sort code within 24 hours, and you're actually being able to trade straight away. And as I said, you're getting a percentage cash back on everything that you spend on it. So just as a business asset, really viable card to actually get some money back. The last one I just wanted to mention was really just a signpost. For those that aren't aware, there is employment changes. So, you know, the tribunals and everything have all been changed very, very rapidly. So you really are advised to actually, you know, tap into the legal hub, tap into the HR department and find out what those changes are. In a nutshell, tribunals will be that any employee that you have will be able to take you to tribunal from day one. Which is very, very significant to what it used to be. It puts a lot of cats amongst the pigeons, but FSB is there to really help and advise, and they've got a support mechanism because that's basically what we do. We're here to help you. We're here to really help and advise on what you don't know, and put the subject matter expert in front of you. I hope that's okay, Ness. I think I've covered a couple of really good benefits.
Lovely, Rajan. Thank you. That's a really good start, because we've got loads and loads of benefits, and we are going to see Rajan again. He's going to talk to us about one of our most important benefits, is our legal hub, and also all the advice and support that we have available to you online on our website. Interesting to hear about the tribunal. Can start from day one. That's a bit scary, isn't it?
Very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, as I say, it just puts businesses open, or more open. So even more reason to take legal advice, even more reason to understand where you're at. And, you've got a hub that we'll talk about a bit later that we'll be able to really enhance all of that with.
Yeah, and we offer our members 24/7 legal advice, 24/7 help and support with those sort of things. You don't have to be lying there having sleepless nights when something like this comes along. So
Absolutely.
yeah, we'll touch on that again a bit later. And the Till by NatWest, fantastic savings available there. Really good. And the cashback. Wow, who doesn't want a bit of cashback, especially this time of year?
Exactly that.
Okay, lovely, Roseanne. Thank you. We'll see you again later. Turning now very quickly to James. James is going to talk to us all about another of our benefits, which is the HMRC tax investigation protection and insurance, which is just another fantastic benefit.
Yeah, thanks, Ness. Everyone's favourite subject, I'm sure. But it is important that we discuss the benefits of FSB membership in this regard. Just a quick thank you to Ness for the invite to come along to the session again today. Just a little bit of background about myself. So I'm ex-HMRC, Inland Revenue as it was in my day, and I now head up the tax investigations team here at Markel Tax. So we've been providing support and assistance to FSB members with regard to tax inquiries and VAT disputes for more than 25 years now, and I've been here for most of that time, to be honest. So the focus for me today is on the tax investigations, covering what you get as a right of membership as an FSB member. It's really important that you've got that support mechanism in place, when you're going through an inquiry. Nobody wants a tax inquiry or a VAT review, but unfortunately, when you're in business, it can be part and parcel of being in business, and that potential scenario can happen. And when you get that brown envelope through the door, you really do want to have the right people supporting you through that process. So we know in relation to an HMRC inquiry, they can be particularly stressful, very time consuming. It's generally not a quick process. Average length of an inquiry in our experiences anywhere between 18 to 24 months, and some inquiries can last much longer than that. So it's good to have the right representation in place. So I want to just pick up on some kind of key points in relation to the benefit that you get as an FSB member in this regard. So first of all, it's a representational scheme. So under the terms of the policy, we are the appointed rep that would deal with the inquiry or VAT dispute on your behalf. So you get likes me or one of my team that would be dealing directly with HMRC on your behalf. And that's really good from providing the point of view of providing an important buffer between you and HMRC. It's also really important to be able to have an honest conversation with us and get that straightforward advice in relation to the process, what's involved, why HMRC are asking particular questions, and so on. And that's what you get from us. It's all about establishing the facts, understanding your business, how you keep your records, and so on, to ensure that the right information is presented to HMRC in the right way, because it's really important to do that during the course of proceedings. To be perfectly honest, our role is to minimise the impact of any inquiry on you and your business. We want you to carry on running the business on a day-to-day basis as you would want to do. But we will take the focus of the inquiry and the stress of the inquiry hopefully away from you to allow you to do that by dealing with the correspondence and the liaison with HMRC, and obviously getting the information from you as we need it as things progress. But we do provide a robust defence where this is needed. And, you know, we're with you at every step of the way throughout the inquiry process. And the main aim is to minimise any potential tax liability that can come out of an inquiry, and the associated exposure to any interest and penalties that can arise as a result of that, which is really important. Second point, and just kind of following up really in terms of the value of the benefit. Even if you keep really good business records, it doesn't exempt you from having an investigation or a review of your records, you know, from HMRC. The costs of dealing with an inquiry can run into thousands of pounds. The FSB covers you up to £100,000 per claim, so there's really no need to worry about the financial impact in terms of any fees to assist you through the inquiry process. I will say that most incidents are covered, and I work very closely with the claims team here in our office in Rugby in relation to FSB claims, you know, to ensure that we can give that help and support where we possibly can. There are certain situations that are excluded from the policy, as you might appreciate, such as fraudulent behaviour and criminal behaviour, which aren't covered under the policy, although in relation to cases of suspected fraud, there is still assistance available from my team on a consultancy basis. So just something to be aware of, but hopefully none of you will ever have to experience that scenario. But if in doubt about any incident that, you know, any contact that you've had from HMRC, it's always sensible to reach out and speak to us and clarify, you know how we can help, because in most of these situations we can help in one way or another. The third point I would like to make is it is a free service, and that there's no catch to that. There is absolutely no cost to utilise, you know, make a claim under this particular benefit. There's no cost in doing so. We will liaise with your accountant if you have one in relation to any information that we need with regard to the inquiry, you know, how the accounts were prepared and so on, providing those reasonable costs are agreed in advance. There's no issue with covering those off. If you are a VAT registered business, you will get a VAT only invoice at the end of proceedings, which is standard, and that's dictated to us by HMRC. But those VAT costs are recoverable in your next VAT return, so there is no net cost to you. So when I say it's free, it is free, and you don't get much for free nowadays, I have to say. In summary, I think when you're facing a tax investigation or a VAT dispute, it is really important to have the best support and representation available to you. And we are confident that that is what you get, you know, from us here at Markel Tax. There have been a number of kind of key areas that HMRC have focused on in recent times, just in the little bit of time I've got remaining. HMRC, you might be aware, are much more sophisticated than they used to be probably 10, 15 years ago in terms of data gathering and data usage. So there's a lot more information available to them in terms of property and online trading, you know, using credit card providers and so on. And that information is readily available to HMRC, and they use that in the risk assessment. So it's a much different game compared to how it was, as I say, 10, 15, certainly 20 years ago. Some of the areas that we have seen activity on recently, R&D has been very topical. You might have seen in the news even today, you know, some of the providers that have been out there, you know, promoting R&D have actually been arrested due to suspicions of tax fraud. So it has been a very topical area over the last couple of years, and we've assisted many FSB members with regard to R&D claims and getting the best possible outcome when they've had difficulties with the HMRC in that regard. Online trading is a big thing as well. Obviously, a lot of businesses now do trade in that way, and it's really important to make sure that your records are maintained properly if HMRC come knocking and want to check that everything's in order. Property transactions, various capital allowances reliefs and business asset disposal reliefs and so on have also been areas that HMRC have targeted. So, oh, sorry. And I'll just get rid of that. Where my I put myself on a little bit of a timer to make sure I stuck to time.
Oh, that was very good.
Because I know I don't always stick to time, so apologies. I didn't realise it was on loud. But yeah, just to cover off a few of the topical areas that HMRC look at. But essentially, get in contact if you've got a query, if you've got a tax issue that you do need some assistance on, and we're always happy to have a chat and discuss things and see how we can help.
James, that was brilliant. Thank you so much. Am I right in thinking that not just the tax investigation, which is fantastic benefit, but you can also give support on general tax queries?
Yes, so you've got access earlier on in the webinar. There was mention of the legal advice line. So we've got the tax and VAT advice line. So my colleagues head up those or work on those teams. That's based in our Rugby office here. So there's always access to tax advice and VAT advice through my colleagues on the advice lines. And if it is more of an inquiry, an investigation matter or a dispute, that's more likely to come to me or my team. But generally speaking, any tax query, even if you think you know the answer, but you want to just bounce it off somebody, it's always useful to have a chat with the guys and girls on the advice lines, and they're always happy to speak to FSB members and chat things through and give advice and support and links to the relevant legislation and guidance. HMRC's manuals are generally all accessible online now. Some of it's restricted, but it's useful to point you in the right direction, what guidance you need to be aware of.
Yeah, and it's just so nice to know that there's an expert available to you who understands all these things, because they're so complicated, aren't they? And to have that person to give you that peace of mind is just invaluable, really. So wonderful. Thank you ever so much, James.
No problem.
Just wanted to say very quickly that we will be sharing the recording. So this whole session is being recorded, and we will be sharing it afterwards. So don't worry if you're scrabbling around making notes, because you can actually look at the recording later, which will be sent out to you. And one person of the team that I didn't actually introduce is our support person who is doing all the magic in the background, and that's Beth Dole. She's doing a fantastic job. Hopefully Beth will be able to share her screen later and show us the website, which Rajan will go through as well. So that will be lovely. Okay, and turning now to Katie Fremantle, who is the Managing Director of FSB Insurance Service. She's going to talk to you about insurance and show us a little bit of an introduction to it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ness, and thank you for having me today as well. I'm an honour to be here to represent FSB Insurance Service. I've been at FSB Insurance Service in some shape or form for about 16 years now, and being with FSB when we first created in the limited state that we are in at the moment in 2018. So I've been with the organisation for some time. So hopefully I'll be able to answer any questions that you may have. So FSB Insurance Service was created in 2018, as I mentioned, by FSB. That is using the expertise of some existing FSB members. That was to fill a gap in the market. And with most small businesses being sent to large contact centres or buying online without advice, FSB thought it was time to actually create an FCA-regulated commercial insurance advisory firm designed to provide a more tailored service to its many diverse and often complex members. So just trying to flip over the slide. There we go. And FSB started with a 30% stake, increasing to 49% last year, having declared the project a success. And FSB is also FSB Insurance Service, is a company limited by guarantee, so members also own a share of that as well. So we have a quite straightforward but quite powerful mantra. Insurance is not a simple product to buy, and many small firms are just as complex in their range of expertise as many larger businesses. FSB Insurance Service has a very simple, as I said, but powerful mantra for members looking for commercial insurance to give advice so that members are properly covered, selling products which will deliver when called upon at a price which represents good value. And it is vitally important to be properly insured, having taken advice. So here's a little bit more about us and a sort of a definition of our setup. FSB Insurance Service, similar to what James said, is a right of membership service. All members can register to use it, and they can call for guidance in respect of any commercial insurance issues, whether insured with us or not. They've also got access to several added value facilities, including a free business continuity toolkit, 10 free credit checks, a free online commercial property valuation toolkit, and a store of useful guides and articles. Just to go a little bit more information in regarding the benefits, these are free to members straight away at point of registration. When the members, or for example, if you are a member, you do have to register for our benefits. We do not get your information straight away from just signing up to be a member. We have to have that explicit consent that you're happy to share your information. And upon registering yourself on the insurance service side of things, you will then receive a welcome pack from us, which will then have that access. So if you are a member that's on this call who hasn't had that welcome pack or doesn't think you're registered with the insurance service, then feel free to reach out to myself or via Ness, and we can make sure that you are registered so you can utilise those benefits. Especially the property valuation toolkits, they are essential at the moment. We actually had our property valuation provider come in to give us a review session earlier this week. And following, unfortunately, Brexit, COVID, war, we're still looking at a substantial amount of commercial properties being severely underinsured. The current ratio being about potentially 40 to 45% of commercial premises being underinsured by approximately 35%. So it is huge that we make sure that all members are aware of this service that we can provide and that they're getting their properties valued. As well as a zero-based policy review. Some members could have had their insurance for a number of years and just let it continue without actually having a proper review. The business may have grown or maybe even reduced. The exposures could have changed. And it is vital that we speak to members, provide that hand-holding service so that they know what they can be provided, what insurances they are recommended, as well as hopefully being able to provide a competitive quotation. So we're coming up obviously to the end of the year very quickly, but it's best just to provide a rolling year's worth of figures and information. So at the end of 2023, over its first few years of existence, FSBIS has been adopted as many members' insurance support. The business continues to grow successfully, with 48,000 members having been registered to use the services over the years. And our very small team, whether it's in Croydon or our remote staff across the UK, fielding 19,000 calls in 2023, with many more members buying insurance through it every year. We've also got a very enviable Net Promoter Score as well as audit score. So we have internal auditing to make sure that we are providing the correct advice on the policies for our members, and we're very pleased to have such a high score there. FSB, whilst a newcomer to the insurance world, is also a multiple award winner and has achieved recognition in categories from Startup of the Year and Best Affinity Broker through to Diversity and Inclusion. I sit on the British Insurance Brokers Association SME Advisory Board, easy for me to say, and our CEO sits on the Financial Conduct Authority Small Business Practitioners Panel. These are fantastic opportunities for us to be representing small businesses, but also representing an insurance brokerage who we would class as a small business as well, being able to put through thoughts and ideas from members and how it's actually affecting businesses as they are trading and the impacts that insurance and legislation is creating. Finally, we believe that our business benefits from taking time to do good as well. And we pick a different charity to support each year, trying to prove that just because you're small doesn't mean that you can't help. Last year's association was Split, a small voluntary funded children's transplant charity, generated over £40,000 in donations for a variety of staff-led projects over the year. And this year we're working with Live Not Knives, which is obviously, as you can imagine, a huge charity to be supporting us in this unfortunate time. And we've also already achieved over £3,500 worth of funding, 2 members of our team having just undertaken a 43-kilometre walk a few weeks ago, and I think they're still recovering, bless them. But really, we're here for FSB members and FSB members alone. As I mentioned earlier, if you aren't registered, please make sure you do reach out to either myself or one of our colleagues on the call, and we'll be able to get you registered so you can utilise all of these benefits. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Katie. That was brilliant. And, I know it's a kind of a whistle-stop tour through this fantastic benefit. One thing I picked up, 45% of members are underinsured. That's really scary.
It is. It's predominantly property insurance, but they can also provide recommendations on rebuild and replacement costs as well for contents and stock. So it is quite astounding, actually, that unfortunately stock takes aren't done frequently. But in terms of property, you don't take into consideration that if you were to suffer a loss, you have to pay for even demolition costs to get rid of the remaining structure potentially, site removal, the finances, the professional fees, having to get new planning permission, new architectural drawings. There's an awful lot that goes into it, and many unfortunately think it's the cost to actually buy the premises, which isn't the case, and it can be considerably different in cost of rebuild throughout the UK. So it needs to be taken seriously.
Yeah, it really does. So, as you said, go for that review. And I just reiterate, I know you said it too, but it's only available. All these services are only available to FSB members, and for this great additional the FSB insurance, you do have to register.
Yes.
Just wanted to reiterate that. I know you'd already said it, but
no, thanks, Ness.
I know how important it is. World-class service. I know that's what you give with 5-star reviews. So excellent. Lovely. Well, we have spoken about some of the benefits. Don't just take our word for it, though, because at the end of the day, at the heart of it is our members who are experienced in the services. What they say is the taste of the pudding is in the eating. So I'm going to pass you over now to one of our lovely members, David Barnes, who's from Essex, who's going to tell you about himself and how he is involved and how he has benefited from FSB membership. Over to you, David.
Greetings. Yes, thank you. Certainly over the 25 years that we've been in business, it's been such a boon to be a member of the FSB. First off, the legal advice line, unbelievably helpful. As soon as you start taking on staff or any other bits and pieces, the employee toolkit that you've got there available with all the templates really walks you through the process of actually getting your staff handbook together and other bits and pieces. We specifically ran into a challenge when we had a apprentice in the early days of the modern apprenticeship scheme, and the government hadn't actually correctly looked at what happens through the tri-party agreement around when the educator pulls out or withdraws from the agreement. And the FSB took the case and actually went through to the Home Secretary, and there had to be a new statutory instrument to actually deal with when that tri-party agreement breaks down. And that's a fantastic right of membership, and that's the FSB stood by us. I also find personally that I enjoy the advocacy, the actual fact that the FSB stands up for the small business and campaigns to fix those regulations. We have Acts of Parliament in place right now that are a result of campaigning by the FSB. In the early days when we were setting up our business, you're running around like a headless chicken, getting the insurance right. We just picked up the phone, spoke to the FSB insurance thing, we got our proper insurances in place, and then we revisited it a year later and improved what we had. I've recently done jury service, and the FSB, actually your membership pays £250 a day compensation as part of that, and that was invaluable. And then if you actually look at things like the modern services like Perks, where you've got that mental health support, that's been so fantastic on the tail end of COVID to give that out to the staff and actually enable them to actually reach out to support and help, and that's been brilliant throughout the various bits and pieces. I could go on for hours about the various bits of membership, but that's a brief overview of some of the things that we've used over the years. And it's really pick up the phone, look on the website, talk to your DM, talk to other members, and they'll point you in the right direction.
Thank you so much, David. And I'm so glad that you have found that your membership has benefited you. And I know that another area that that it's benefited you is being one of our volunteers, isn't it?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoy the advocacy, but actually volunteering for the FSB actually lets you talk to MPs, actually do something about those challenges that businesses face. It's not always, you struggle through everything and you feel like you're on your own. The second you step into talking to the FSB and becoming part of that team, you can actually see that there is something you can positively do to assist and actually do something about it. And you actually, the feeling of really, you know, it's unbelievable to describe the feeling of actually stepping forward and actually making that change for small businesses.
Yeah, fantastic. Making a difference. And I think I always like to say that we are the big voice of small businesses. And I'm sure that our next speaker, thanks, David, our next speaker is going to tell us a bit more about how you can become a volunteer and all the sorts of work that we do on the ground in the local areas. So I'm going to pass now to Anne Scott, one of our lovely development managers.
Thank you, Ness. Yes, so my name is Anne Scott and I'm a development manager over in very sunny Essex. I'm incredibly lucky because I get to work with volunteers like David Barnes. He has been a volunteer and a member for 25 years. And he works alongside our other Essex area lead, Mike Russell. So yes, I feel like I'm very blessed in Essex to have an amazing, strong team around me. So I am one of 33 development managers across the UK. And our main role is to support members in a county or a cluster of counties. I've met most of our development managers, and I can hand on heart say they are all so passionate about supporting small businesses. So please do reach out to them. If you go to the website, you will find a membership tab. Underneath that, you'll see a drop-down bar which says support near you. You'll be able to reach out to the development manager that covers your area. So please do that. They're incredibly helpful. So as a development manager, I would say we have 4 main roles. The first is policy and lobbying. And as Ness said, we are very much seen as the voice of small business within government. You may have seen in one of the last budgets, Jeremy Hunt actually name-checked us twice in relation to business rates being extended. So we do have a good relationship with government, but we do hold them to account when they're not doing what they say they're going to do and they're not acting in the interests of small businesses. So on a local level, what that means is I work with local authorities on a district and county level, making sure that they're thinking small when they're making decisions, but also to make sure that any issues our members have got are addressed sufficiently. And I'm going to give you an example because policy and lobbying is one of the main reasons that FSB was set up all those years ago. So we had a member who ran a business centre on an industrial estate. He had 70 to 80 other small businesses on this industrial estate, and the council wanted to triple his ground rent overnight and backdate it by several months. Now, several businesses came to me and said, this is potentially going to cost between £80,000 to £90,000. It's going to mean redundancies. Worst case scenario, we're going to have to shut up shop. After 4 months of my member trying to engage with the council, they had absolutely no response from them. They were not willing to budge on their demands. So we got involved. We wrote a letter to the leader of the council. We communicated with the economic development officers, and within 24 hours, they'd reduced their demand significantly to one they could cope with, and they set up a payment plan. Now, when you start getting letters from members saying, you've helped save my business, it makes you realise it's all been worthwhile. So yeah, policy and lobbying is a very big part of what we do. The second role is business support. So I will have quite frequently one-to-ones with our members, and I'll signpost them to local training, events and grants. In particular, we have good relationships with economic development officers in the various councils, but also other organisations offering support like universities and growth hubs. So here in Essex, we actually have an organisation called Let's Do Business, who offer 12 hours of free business planning, and they administer startup loans. Please do reach out to your development manager because there may be similar things happening in your area. There is lots of support out there for small businesses if you know where to look, and sometimes it is very difficult to know where to look because it's all in different places. But there is help out there for startups, established businesses, some of it free as well. So please do reach out to your development managers. The third role that we have is networking. So 99.9% of our events are open to members and non-members. Very often, doesn't happen that much. We do have member-only events. Actually, last year, or was it this year? The year's gone so quick. We did a 50-year anniversary dinner where we actually recognised David and another David who has been volunteering for FSB for over 25 years. But most of our events are members and non-members. Anyone is welcome. With our in-person events, most are free or they are low cost. So as a not-for-profit, we literally just cover refreshments, and we want to make sure that the ticket price is as low as possible for you, so it's accessible to as many people as possible. There's so much going on. Please do check out the calendar. You can filter by region. You know, here in Essex alone, we have speed networking, which we've just started, very noisy, very busy, very chaotic, but it's really, really good fun. And an event coming up to help kind of deconstruct the budget for small businesses. So lots happening. But even better than that, all of our online events are completely free to attend, and you can go to them anywhere in the UK. So if you're in London, you can go to one up in Scotland. They're a really good way to connect with others and, you know, share best practice, share frustrations. And, you know, David will attest to this. He comes to a lot of our networking events. It's really heartwarming when you see collaborations happen and support groups being formed. So please do check out our events. The fourth role is about connecting the dots, really. So I'm here to connect our members with other members that might be useful to them. And I'll give you an example. It's quite random. I have a member who makes murder mystery card games. She wanted to take it to the next level and start employing actors when using these murder mystery card games. I happen to be in the opticians, and the opticians runs her own business alongside that, where she has a theatre group who specialises in murder mysteries. And she was actually looking to expand her business and take on more work. So I've connected the two, and I've seen this amazing relationship flourish. But it's not just about connecting our members with other members, it's about connecting them with the right part of the FSB. It's a big beast of an organisation. There's lots of benefits and services on offer to you. Obviously, using your app, the website, your membership advisors, but also reach out to your development managers if you're struggling with kind of which part to access and what you've got access to. And I'll give you an example. Please do Google this video. If you put in Marco's Tapas Bar, FSB, you will see a lovely little video from a member of ours in Essex who, very similar to what Ness was talking about, had a tribunal issue. We connected him with our legal protection team. It ended up saving him between £40,000 to £50,000 in legal fees. And he said, hand on heart, that saved my business. There's no way I could find £40,000, £50,000 at a drop of a hat. As a thank you, he held our summer social for us, had some lovely sangria and paella. It was really, yeah, see, David's giving it the kiss. It was amazing. So we do have some incredible members, and that's what we're here to do at the end of the day. Our role, in a nutshell, is to help you as members, making sure you get the best out of your membership, and we can help your small business kind of achieve its big ambitions. So please do connect with your other development managers.
And thank you so much. That was lovely. I really enjoyed that, and your stories of how you've made a difference locally, and the amount of money that you've been able to save people, and putting people together on the murdery mystery. Great, you know, and that's what the networking does, I think, isn't it? It gives you those connections, puts people together, gets contacts going, and it really is good. Lovely. Thank you so much. Something I was going to ask you about has gone right out of my head now. Oh, I know. I was going to very quickly say, we've got boot camps, haven't we, coming up, and in all the areas.
We do. We actually just held ours last week.
Oh, did you? Okay.
On the A12, and unfortunately 80 people couldn't make it, but 170 people did.
Oh, wow.
David is actually on our panel as our cybersecurity expert, but we had James Sinclair, who's an Essex business tycoon, as the guest speaker. But our next one, forgive me, I don't know the exact date, but you will find it in the calendar. We have one coming up that covers Bedfordshire, Hertfordshire and Cambridgeshire, but they are all over the country. I know there's loads this week and next week, so definitely don't miss out because they're incredible.
Yeah, and as you say, they're taking place all over the country, and the feedback has been phenomenal on our boot camps. Do get to your local one, and as Anne said, there's another of her doing the same role well, up and down the country. And I will send you the link so you'll be able to find out who your local development manager and your local team is. Great. Okay. Thank you very much. So Rajan said he was going to have a little look at our website and show you some of our support and hub that's available there. So over to you, Rajan. I think Beth's going to share her screen and give us a little hint of what's available on there.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that, Ness. So, for those of you that have joined up and really, thought, yeah, I'm going to go and have a look at it. I understand this isn't the website you want to surf or that you check in like a news channel or anything, but this is a really comprehensive website that gives you a lot of information, and every single part of that is about your business. It has your benefits on there. You can apply for the additional benefits through there. It has all the content in regards to the contracts of employment, partnership agreements, subcontractor agreements, 0 hours, your health and safety in there, your health and safety and food, as well as all of the other kind of business documentation that you would have. So, Beth, you're on the website at the moment. If you could just drop in, thank you so much. So, this would be your basic dashboard. The basis of this is to try and make it as simplistic and easy for you to use as a member. We have a function on here, which is the favorites. So as you start browsing and you go onto a document, it will actually start showing you all the favorites that are available. So if you actually go back to that quick find there, Beth, thank you so much. So what you've got on the left-hand side here, just to give you a quick breakdown, is all of the covers that we do. So it gives you a location very, very quickly. So whether it's something to do with employment, VAT, property, consumer, insolvency even, it's a case that we're going to try and locate it for you as quickly as possible, because we don't want you to be going through a number of different pages to try and locate what you have there. If you close that box for me there, Beth, thank you. Now, underneath that, if you open up the resources for me, thank you so much. So again, we're trying to make things easy. So what you've got on this side is what the resource is. Is it a case you're just looking for a particular resource in the library, or it's a case you're looking for a video or a document? What we're trying to do is help you work it through there so you can highlight what you'd like to see as much as possible. If you go to the next tab there, business tools. Again, very, very quick, getting you into the service that you require. Debt recovery is something that's become very, very common within business, especially if you're in the kitchens, the bathrooms, that sort of thing, where you have a high ticket package, if you like, and you have a breakdown of payment schemes. And it's always at the end of it where people, just haven't got the last bit, or they have to chase the last £3,000 to £5,000. The debt recovery system on this side of it really just gives you the advice, the letters that you can do, you can put them out there, and the success rate on them is very, very good. If you can just scroll down the page itself, Beth, just to the boxes, perfect. Oh, a little bit higher, a little bit more. Thank you. So what you've got on here, the first top tab, and this will change the more you use it. If you click the Explore All, Beth, for me. Yep, you were there. There we go. Oh no, it's just gone to the same page. If you do explore all again for me. There you go. Thank you very much. So now's a very, very simplistic way to see what you want, how you want it, and what it is you want. So for example, we're going to go into the fourth tab, which is contracts and trading. What this will do is it will give you a very simple sample of what you would get and how you would get it. So if you can see, you've got under the filter by, you've got guides, you've got videos, you've got useful links, and you've actually got DIY legal documents, which is what it's sitting on now. If you scroll down a little bit for me, Beth, just to see how many pages there are, as you can see, guys, loads and loads and loads of pages of all these different documents. If you scroll right to the top again, Beth, there is a search tab in there as well, right at the top of the page, and that allows you to put in what you're particularly. So if we just put employment contract, see if we can get anything that comes up for that. There you go. So everything that is to do with an employment to contract will come in. So the second one down, application for employment. And then you've got the regulations in there and so on and so forth. Now, these documents are all downloadable as a member. It'll give you an advice guide. So if you could open that for me there, Beth, fantastic. Might have opened it on your other screen. There you go. There you go. So what you've got in here is very simplistic layout. They scroll down. These are all done vetted by the HR department, so they get updated as any kind of legislation changes. But what I'm trying to just point out is they're simplistic. You don't need to create forms. They're there for you. You don't need to put adverts together. They're there for you. What we want you to do is use these because, as I mentioned, as legislation changes, we update these documents. So that means that you're never going to fall foul of any kind of legal documentation failure when you're looking at building the business or really just retaining it. You can close that for me, Beth. But the options that you have here, as I say, so you've got the top one there, regulation, employment agencies and employment. You don't need to open, Beth, but the factor is that this has got a how-to guide, it's got the best advice guide, and then it's got DIY documents. So I really do encourage everyone that hasn't been on there, hasn't used that passcode and their username, please do it today, because once you're in there once or twice, you'll start seeing things that you didn't actually know that you needed, or you didn't even know that we did. And what we've got in there is basically preferential rates on all of these. So then the idea is we try and link you with a good subject matter expert that specializes in it, and we try and do it. So if there is a cost involved over and above what we do here, so paid for stuff like fire risk assessments and stuff like that, we'll do those, but we'll do them at a preferential rate. And we'll still use Markel Law, which is our legal entity that supports all of them. So I hope that's been beneficial. I know we're tight on time, so if there is anything else, please don't hesitate to drop a question into Ness, and I'll be happy to answer. But I hope that was okay for everyone.
Yeah, that was great, Rajan. Thank you. And what I think we recommend is that if you remember, go onto your page, your member page, and just have a good look round. You know, if you've got 10 minutes, as Rajan says, it's quite easy to navigate. But if you have any problems, give me a shout and I'm happy to help you. But you'll be amazed at what's on there. I think it's like having a whole HR department on your screen just available to you and as part of your membership benefit. No, it's fantastic. So do take the time to have a little look and see what you've got, because you don't know what you don't know. And one thing I just wanted to very quickly mention before we move on to our questions, because we are running out of time, is FSB was 50 just a couple of weeks ago. We've been going for 50 years, which is fantastic. 50 years of supporting small businesses, 50 years of getting the government to recognise small business needs, and 50 years of advice and support on the ground in your local area, which is great. So as part of our celebrations for being 50, and we started in Blackpool just as a few people got together to talk about some issues locally, one of which was late payments. We've just recently secured a really big win with the government on late payments, which is often caused by big businesses not wanting to pay small businesses for ages and ages, causing cash flow difficulties. It's been one of our big wins. As part of our celebrations, we are offering £50 off of membership. It's only available to the end of this month because September was our birthday month. So if you want to take advantage of that, just give me a shout and I'll be able to pass you over to one of our membership advisors who will be able to give you all the details. Okay, well, I'd just like to say a really big thank you to all of our panels. Now, I know we've had a few questions come into the Q&A box, so let me have a very quick look at those and see what we've got. Hopefully we can answer them before we run out of time. And already, I think the first question was what fantastic support when we were talking about, well, really early on about tax issues and tax investigation, support investigation. And can we speak to you about tax issues relating to our business? And I think they already answered that when I spoke to James separately and asked him that. So hopefully, and the answer was yes, you can give us a call and, you know, we'll help you on all of those things, those areas. And actually, no other questions at the moment other than that is amazing. Some comments about thank you so much and that is amazing, which is really good to hear. We are on Trustpilot. And if you'd like to leave any comments about anything, good or bad, no, obviously we love all the good, but we try to address anything that isn't going right. You can look us up on FSB Trustpilot, leave a message. If there are any other questions that anybody wants to add into the Q&A box. Oh, here's one. How do we access any legal support? Okay, I will pass that over to you, Rajan.
Very, very simple. Just pick up the phone. As simple as that. So you have a legal advice line that's totally available to you 24/7. The very simplistic thing, have your membership number ready in your name, obviously, and just to give them a brief explanation of what it is you need. What they will do is they'll go away, they'll find the subject matter expert for you, and the legal team will come back in contact and they'll be able to advise you. If you need documents, they'll be able to advise you on the legal hub as well and where you can find those documents. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And our legal advice service is actually available, as I said earlier, 24/7. So if something's keeping you awake at 3 in the morning, you know, you can give them a call and they will be available to help. If you're busy and you want them to call you back, on the website, you can actually ask for a call back, so that they will call you back at a better time for you, which is always very good. So lots of different ways to contact them. What I will do, when I send the recording out to everybody, I will put the Legal Hub phone number in there and any other links that we've mentioned today, so you won't have to worry about all of those. I was going to ask David, actually, can you give an idea of how people, and perhaps also Anne, how people can get involved as an FSB volunteer if they would like to, because I know it's only members that can be volunteers, but if they'd like to get involved, what does that include?
Talk to your DM, I think, in the first place. Attend some of the networking meetings and hook up with the other members that are engaged in the area. And in some respects, you're probably going to have a bee in your bonnet about something that's grated you about what the local authority are doing or the government's not doing, or there's a particular hole in the legislation that for some reason everyone's missing. And talk to the team around you, the other members and the DM, and actually then you can work through the process of just getting involved and actually thinking of opportunities that you can actually reach out and be available. But it is certainly talk to your DM and the other team members within the region. Anne?
The only thing I'd add to that really is a lot of people like to volunteer their time by being a case study. I think it's far more authentic when a business owner says, this has impacted me because of X, Y, and Z, this is what needs to happen. So I'm always looking for people who are comfortable giving me written quotes or speaking to the media about things that have bothered them, whether it's business rates or tax implications or the decline of the high street. So yeah, please do reach out to your development manager. If you're comfortable with the media, with like some free PR for your business, then certainly that's a great way to sort of help FSB whilst helping yourself.
And I will add to the FSP does quarterly surveys, and it's actually really, really important that we actually have as many members as possible filling those surveys out. And actually, it is so powerful. It is one of the most powerful reports that's produced on a quarterly basis around the business community within the UK. And actually, the data that we produce affects what governments do. So the more we can have, certainly in the east of England and the Essex area, if we had, I think it's 20 more members actually submitting things, we could actually do reports at a granular level down to the county level, so we can actually produce a local version, and we can use that data to actually enable us. It's a weapon to go after the government and local authorities, and it is so critically important. Sign up for the survey panel. I'm sure, Ness, you could probably share the link for that.
Yeah, I will do. Thank you for reminding me of that. I will share the link when I send it out. That is really useful and helpful. Yeah, a couple of other questions that how do we access the insurance services, Katie? Could you just
Of course, if you go onto FSB Insurance Service website, on the front page there is a registration form. Alternatively, if Ness, I'm not sure, I can see that the Q&A, but if you get the membership number, I can make contact with the member and get them registered.
Yeah, okay, great. Thank you for that. I had somebody recently who was really interested in doing a credit check.
Yeah.
And that's only actually available if you register onto the FSB insurance, isn't it?
Correct, and you will have access to that from the link in the welcome pack that we'll send to you as soon as you get registered.
Right.
So you can just click on that, and then you can either do a bulk of 10 credit checks in one go, or you can just fill in one by one throughout the year.
Yeah, and that's completely free, isn't it? And that's a really good service for people. Okay, any other questions that we've got in our box? I don't think so.
Yes, there was a question there about accounting support.
Oh yeah, sorry. Thank you.
I'm not exactly sure what's meant by that question, to be honest. All I'd say is that if it's in relation to the tax treatment of certain income and expenses, anything along those lines, then certainly that's something that the tax advice line would be able to help with. If it's getting into the specifics of accounting treatment and accounting packages, then that's a slightly different thing. But I would suggest that whatever the query is, that's directed to the tax advice team in the first instance, and I'm sure they would be able to answer that.
Yeah, and I know that quite a lot of accountants offer tax investigation insurance at a cost. And a lot of our members haven't realised, and they've paid extra to their accountant for their tax investigation insurance, which is fine, but they haven't realised they've already got it. They've already got it with FSB as part of their benefit. So I don't know if it was in relation to that, but that's certainly worth.
Yeah, possibly just on that point, and I'm conscious of time, but yeah, I mean that a lot of the time comes down to what the preference is. Whether, as I mentioned in my piece, it's an appointed rep scheme, so you deal with me from ex-revenue background, my team all come from a same background, so it's whether if you want your accountant to deal with the inquiry, then obviously that's absolutely fine. People join the FSB for a number of reasons. A lot of the time I speak to people who are not aware they've got the tax investigation.
No.
So it's good just to make members aware that it's there.
Yeah.
Whether they want to use the scheme or use the benefit or use their own accountant, that's obviously a matter for each member to consider.
Yeah, but I think, why wouldn't you use the service if you've got it as part of your package for free?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, well, we've run out of time. The time always goes very quickly on this. If anybody who's on the call thinks of anything that they haven't had answered or they've suddenly thought of, just get in touch with me and I'll be able to get the answer to you. And hopefully we'll see you at some more of our events, either networking or our helpful support events that we do, our webinars. We'll hope to see people again very soon. So thank you very much for coming along today. Oh, hang on, I forgot. Has anything else gone into the? No. Okay. Right, lovely. Thank you very much. And I say, don't forget about our Trustpilot if you've enjoyed today. And see you again soon.